I want to talk to you about why I think the HK UMP subgun is the most underrated subgun. Let's get to it. Okay, so the HK UMP came about, kind of started showing itself on movies, or in movies, in the early 2000s, and for whatever reason, it made it into video games, made it into the movies. Was out in service with militaries around the world, with law enforcement, even with U.S. law enforcement in a limited scope. But the UMP never really took off. And I have some theories as to why, and we'll talk about that. And I also feel that the UMP is probably the most underrated subgun out there. And let's talk about that also. So we're talking about today, the UMP, and this is set up right now in 45 ACP. Pretty iconic looking. You've seen it, if you play, video games, you've seen it, but not so much in movies. And not so much, in footage that maybe you've seen, news, different things you see in the media. This one never really made it. And it's a shame. It's a good platform. So let's talk a little bit about, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the gun. So the HK UMP is a direct blowback system. This one is not, and when I'm going to talk about the H and K, I'm going to refer to as the HK UMP. This one here is actually a Omega Arms Gideon Shadow, so it's a UMP clone. So this one is set up in 45 ACP. So the stick mags here, you've got 25 round stick mags, and they're pretty good size mags, okay, for the 45 ACP. With the fire control, of course, this one just being safe and semi-auto, but unlike the MP5, the HK MP5, that this was actually supposed to replace, that was HK's dream, design, desire, I don't know. So the UMP, well, is clear here. Unlike the MP5 that this was supposed to replace, this one does have a bolt catch, bolt release. You can send it home on a reload versus the MP5 that does not hold back on the last round. So the reload is a little more involved, but with practice you can reload the MP5 fairly quickly. But, us Americans, we got to have the slide stop, the slide catch, right? So that was added to the UMP in its design. Like I said, it is a direct blowback, so you do feel it's got a massive bolt. You do feel that in the recoil pulse, but it's not that bad. It's really manageable. So the UMP, it is all polymer, so basically it is an all plastic gun. The upper half, the lower half is all plastic, versus the MP5, which is steel. So like the upper is like, you know, flat steel, bent steel, and the lower, the fire control group is steel also. Now there are some polymer ones for the MP5, but this is mostly a plastic gun. So that does bring it in. So weight, unloaded, without magazine, the UMP in 45, it comes in about 5 pounds. The gun is, let's see, so it is, you know, folding stock, folding brace. In the folded configuration without suppressor, we're about 17.5 inches long. With it opened up, we'll bring that out to 27, almost 28 inches, okay? Pretty slim. So they say it's about 2.04 inches wide. I don't know, they're saying height of 11.2 inches. So let's get a tape measure. So on this one, height with the magazine in, I have 12 inches high. So height with mag, we'll go straight up 12 inches, then add the optic. The barrel on this, as the standard HK barrel, would be 7.8 inches long. And I did measure it as 5 pounds. Okay. In another video, I did talk about this gun, and I did talk about the problems I had with this. So check that video out. But here in the UMP, I like the design. You do get top Picatinny rail. You do get the option for a rail on both sides of the handguard and a rail on the bottom, so you can add your laser, your infrared lights, anything you need to add. So you have some modularity there. That's pretty nice. Mag catch, you got the powder release there behind the mag well, and it's pretty nice. I mean, it's a nice, easy to get a hold of, and it's a nice setup. With this being plastic and the heavy bolt, like I said, you do feel the recoil pretty good. Now, why I say this is the most underrated subgun out there, okay? Let's discuss that, why I think it's the most underrated. Because I think this is a very versatile gun. I like the platform. And in this configuration, we're in 45 ACP. Now, the nice thing about these is to do a caliber change, you have the option to go to 40 Smith & Wesson and 9mm. At the time of filming, if you go to the HK website, they're actually only showing the UMP being offered in 9mm, and they have it in they have two different model numbers, and one is a semi-auto with 2-round burst, and the other is a semi-auto with full auto option. Only a 9mm. So they have dropped the 40 and the 45 out. 9mm kind of has taken over the PCC world. It's kind of unfortunate. I mean, I like 9mm, but I do like the 45 and 40. But to change the caliber in these is really nice, because all you need is another magazine in the caliber that you're switching to. So this one here is a 40 Smith & Wesson mag. You need the barrel, of course. So this is a 40 Smith & Wesson barrel, and the bolt, 40 Smith & Wesson bolt. This video, I'm not going to do the takedown. I will do another video. We'll do some maintenance and stuff, but I will talk you through the process and show you basically, you know, how easy this is to do. So once you have these three things, bolt in the caliber that you're switching to, the barrel and magazine, it is as simple as removing this rear pin, rocking the lower receiver out, the trigger group out, and then you'll see there's a pin here recessed. Okay? You knock that pin out, but before you knock that pin out, remove your bolt and your recoil system, the recoil guide rod. Knock that pin out. That is the barrel pin. The barrel will slide back through the receiver. You'll remove the barrel from the rear. Then you'll take the ejector. It'll go around the barrel. Then you slide the barrel in from the back of the receiver up to the front there. The barrel does have a notch. You'll see that notch there. Okay, that notch will line up with this hole. You'll drive the pin back in. Take the bolt that you're going to use. You'll insert the recoil spring into the rear, the guide rod. Drop the bolt in the receiver. Put the lower back on, put the pin in. Insert the mag that you've switched over to, in this case it would be 40 cal, and you've done the caliber change. So at that point, feed it the caliber and go to town. Very simple to do. Basically, you just need a hammer and one punch, and you can change the caliber. Same for 9mm. The 9mm will have its own bolt, have its own barrel, and then the 9mm magazines are actually they're a curved mag. I don't have 9mm conversion for this yet. I do have 45 and 40, as you can see here. And in the next video, we will do a takedown and show you that. But for that simple fact that you can do a caliber change that easily, you could do it in the field, you could do it wherever, as long as you have a hammer and a punch. It very versatile. I mean, if you want to run the 45, you want to run the 40 cal 9mm, choose, switch it out. It's a great system. They're very reliable. You know, it's direct blowback, not a lot of moving parts. So, very good design. It just never took off. It never caught traction. And I think the reason for that was, in my opinion, and I'm not an expert with HK, I like their stuff, but I think it's because the MP5, even though the MP5 was designed in the 60s and put into service in the 60s, it's still super relevant today and still being used. And that roller lock design, that MP5 is such light recoiling, super pleasant to shoot, suppresses great. The nice thing is that you don't have to do anything to them. You add the suppressor and the gun runs. You don't have to change stuff up and tune it. So the MP5 is a good platform. The UMP was supposed to replace it. Unfortunately, it just didn't take off. But if you have the chance to pick up a UMP, I highly recommend it. They are very fun to shoot. My son was out today and he shot this for the first time and he loved it. And unfortunately, ammo, 45 is a little pricey. We'll shoot it some more, but yeah, he really wanted to shoot more, and but we didn't today. We just got some footage for this video. But after I've got this thing running, I've put several hundred rounds through it during the tuning process, and I'm like close to 1,000 rounds through this gun since I've got it running great. So it's just an awesome design, guys. I really like the UMP. Like I said, it folds down. So if this is gonna be something you want to use as, like a bag gun, it's very compact, as you can see here. You add the magazine. Of course, the magazine does add to it, but in the bag, it's not a very big package. The UMP, modular, recoil's pretty decent. Switch over to 40 cal or 9mm, and the recoil really just drops from there as you go down in caliber, of course. Super reliable. and they look awesome. I mean, the UMP really has the look. Suppressing the UMP. Now that would be, and I wouldn't say a problem. Suppressing it can be a challenge because of thread pitch, okay? So what you'll do, this barrel is a HDPS, and it is in the metric thread 16-1 left hand. So what I end up doing is getting a Griffin Armament, the cam lock adapter, and then I just went with cam lock on the suppressor with the spacer in there in the booster to replace the spring so nothing moves in the booster. When you get, if you do the HK, the UMP, and you get the factory barrel, be it 40 cal or 45, they have this flange system. You can see there. That flange system is set up for the B&T, the HK or the B&T suppressors. Now they are out there. You can get those suppressors that work exclusively with this flange system. If you do that, okay, for you purists, you will have the suppressor as HK designed it to be. The downside to that is that now that suppressor is only going to work on this gun, this barrel. So you lose the modularity, being able to use that suppressor on your other guns, because this flange system is not out there in the wild by other companies. So to get a threaded barrel, you're going to have to go aftermarket or send one of these barrels off and have it machined and threaded, have it turned down and threaded. You can do that if you want to, but the problem that when you buy these HK barrels, they're pretty pricey. You could be at $400 to $500 just for a barrel, depending on where you go. I mean, you could probably get in the $300 range, but that's a pricey barrel. And then to go have it threaded, that's going to be all up to you. Now, there are aftermarket options out there that do have the traditional threading. You can go with the metric left-hander. You can go with right-hand thread. If you go to HK Parts, I think it's hkparts.net, you can see threaded barrels. So the threaded barrels are out there. That's just something to keep in mind if you're going to run it suppressed. I try to keep everything I have with a threaded barrel. That way I can move my suppressors around from gun to gun. My wife probably appreciates that more than I do, because that keeps the cost down on buying less suppressors that way. So there's that. That's the only real, I wouldn't call it an issue, but that's the only obstacle you'll have if you have the UMP and you're going to run it suppressed, will be the barrel threads, the threading. Once you go with whatever system you like, I love the cam lock system, and it's great for the subguns and handguns. So this is the Dead Air Primal with the Griffin Armament cam lock set up there. Pretty nice. And it makes it real easy to suppressor on and off. So I like that. And it does not loosen up. When you're shooting it, man, it stays solid. It doesn't loosen up on you, so you're not going to risk a baffle strike or anything like that. So the parts are still out there. You can pick up now the UMP. You're kind of getting into, you know, higher end stuff. It's going to cost more. In my other video that I mentioned, you're going to see the prices of the bolts and the barrels and mags. It is pricey to do a conversion, a caliber conversion, but it will come in cheaper. It'll come in at a lower cost than buying a whole nother UMP and having multiple UMPs in different calibers. Okay. So that's about it for the UMP. I just wanted to follow up. I promised you a more technical video. I don't know how technical that really was, but it just talked about some of the features of the gun. Oh, one thing I do want to mention, the charging handle is non-reciprocating. So as you're shooting the gun, you'll see sometimes I'll have my grip up high on it. And so you don't have to worry about the charging handle hitting your hand while you're firing. So that is a nice feature there. And as I mentioned, it has the slide stop right there. The slide stop, slide catch, or slide, gosh, we're talking bolt. How about that? So you can see here, it's got the bolt catch, the bolt release, which is nice. So it does have the last round hold open, unlike the MP5. So there's kind of some upgrades. The UMP had some upgrades that people wanted over the MP5, and all plastic. I don't know how much people wanted that aspect of it, but that's kind of where guns were going at the time. So there it is, the HK UMP. This one happens to be the Gideon Shadow UMP clone, and that's what we're talking with here. And if you ask, this is the Yotech XPS2. I believe that's the model on that Yotech. It takes the single 123A battery, and then it does have the GG&G flip open dust covers for protection there and keep dust and crap out of your optic. So that's a nice thing. You can get that through GG&G. They make pretty good stuff, so check them out also. Not sponsored by any of these guys, but it's just good products I like to share with you that work, and I've used these on several EOTechs in the past, and it's good stuff. So anyway, that's the UMP here in 45 ACP. I appreciate you. I appreciate you watching. And this is the follow-up to the longer video I discussed, but I appreciate you checking this one out. So if you like the content, you like what you see here, check out our other videos up here. Over here, subscribe. Click that. It'll take you to the page. Go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any of our stuff. Hit the notification bell. And I do ask, if you like what you saw, you like the content, you kind of you browsed our other stuff, share this out on your social media. I ask you to share this. Share it with your friends. Just throw it out there. It helps me get the exposure and the growth, and I appreciate it. So I'll check you on the next one. Appreciate you. Thanks.